And, some of the earliest questions that I thought of was, it's like, well, women would say that they want a nice guy, but then they continually go for these bad boys who would kind of, F them over and stuff. So it's like, do women even know what they want? And, I would start to hear other, people say things like, women are emotional. And then I just started to dive a little bit deeper and say, well, what's really going on here? And I just figured, okay, let me just see, what women say when I try to challenge them on why they kind of believe what they believe.
And so when you started doing the interviews, like what were some of the biggest, I guess, what were the most common answers that you got where women's actions didn't match what they were doing?
I think it really came down to the fact that, they would, I mean, obviously when they would say they want a guy, who's a gentleman and a nice guy, and then you would just kind of see how they would go for these guys who don't really care about them. And it's like, well, you want this attention from guys, but then it's like, but then it's not quite, it's like you want a certain outcome. I don't know, like, I just noticed that most of like the dating advice that men would get was always about like, this is what you're supposed to do, but it was never about like, what are women supposed to do? You know what I mean? So it was just
like there is a burden of performance for men, but not for women.
Yeah. And so at some point, you just wonder, like, what are women complaining about? Like, why is the burden always on men? Why are men always expected to change? And then at one point I was almost just trying to figure out, like, is dating harder for men or for women? And, after all of this red pill content, I think we can pretty much all, mutually agree and come to a consensus on the fact that dating is just much, much harder for men based on just the male loneliness epidemic, based on, the fact that 80% of men are viewed as unattractive according to, the majority of women. So it's like, well, why is that? What's going on in our society right now? So,
and have you had women, because I've been attacked a few times, not often. I mean, I'm probably it was like this fat chick one time, and she just was trying to go for,
the whale attack.
Yeah, the whale attack.
Okay.
But I was just curious, has that ever happened to you where like people get angry and they try to, because I mean, it can be dangerous sometimes doing street interviews, especially you're going out at night, there's drunk people.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen episodes of you, and I was actually concerned for your safety where I've seen, some people get triggered. I think, I don't know, it was just something about like a girl like stole your sign or something like that, or I forget exactly what clip it was. It was a while back, but see, for me, I don't just question feminists. I will question trad cons.
Yeah.
I'll question dating coaches and stuff, right? And some people, I mean, if you believe in something, that's fine. I just would like to understand why. But some people can't even defend why they believe what they believe. And the minute that their ideology is challenged, sometimes they go kaplooey. They go, they get triggered. I mean, I was at a convention where I had a cowboy who basically said, look, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. You want to know my opinions. And I said, whoa, let's lower the temperature here. I'm just trying to understand. And so I think anybody can get triggered, but I don't think there's any thing in this world that's not subject to question. So that's,
yeah, because you do a really good job. Like, you don't raise your voice, really. You don't, like, you do a very good job of being like even keel when you, and I don't always do that because they start to, like, if they say something dumb, I want to tell them.
Right.
But you do such a good job of not directly telling them, but like you just like trap them with another question.
Yeah. I noticed that
Like,
once people start to get emotional, then logic kind of goes out the window. And so I think that as long as you can kind of just keep it where, everybody is calm and you're just trying to understand what's going on, I think that you can, it's almost like in some cases, if you're trying to talk to like a mob mentality, you know what I mean? It's just people are trying to antagonize people. You're not going to come up with anything productive. But if you kind of have like a one-on-one conversation, you say, well, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. What is actually going on? What is the thought process behind why you believe what you believe? Is it something you've learned from your experience or something you were told? And so you start to, and a lot of times people start to think about this stuff and they say, That's a really good question. I don't know why.
I bet you get that a lot. Like
Yes.
that's gotta be, you could do like a compilation of that's a really good question.
I actually did do that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, early on, but yes, yes.